Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're ready to begin. This Planning Commission meeting is called to order. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. We're live on KCLV Channel 2, and this meeting will be rebroadcast Saturday at 10 a.m., the following Monday at midnight, and Tuesday at 5 a.m. and 6 p.m. At this time for this Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to invite PAC 148 from the First Good Shepherd Lutheran School, along with their Scoutmaster Jeffrey Boots, to come on up and lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Who do we have here?
I'm the Cub Master, Jeffrey Boots, from PAC 148 at First Good Shepherd Lutheran School. We have Sterling Fitzgerald, Isaiah Johnson, Mason Brewer, Joshua Goins, Madden Yell, Zachary Boots, Marcos De Leon, Maddox Yell, Scott, Jack, Josh, and Jacob down at the end. And then this is my Weebles 1 Den Leader, Assistant Cub Master, Marcos De Leon, Senior.
Well, thank you very much for being here tonight, and welcome. And Commissioner Goins?
Just wanted to say thanks for the boys to come out. I'm actually the Weeblo Den Leader at the PAC, but these gentlemen have worked hard at the craft of being a scout. They're certainly loyal, trustworthy, and all of the good merits that a scout does. We're in the process of selling popcorn right now. We have a couple of other scout activities coming up this month, scouting for food, and so we're real proud of the young men that we have in this community. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, you're looking at our future, and looking at these guys, I think our future looks bright. So congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much again.
Now go get your homework done.
I'm already finished.
Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Chair Flangus,
Here.
Vice Chair Moody,
Here.
Commissioner Goins,
Present.
Commissioner Truesdale,
Present.
Commissioner Quinn,
Here.
Commissioner Schlotman,
Present.
Commissioner Bonar.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. I call your attention to the information printed in your agenda concerning our actions and the appeal and review process, if appropriate. Please read this carefully, and if you have any questions, staff is available. Also, the second page of the agenda contains our rules of conduct. We appreciate your adhering to these rules so we can have a smooth meeting. Thank you very much. We'll go to the item number 4, which is public comment. All comments made under this item for specific action items will be cross-referenced to those items. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak under this portion of the agenda?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street, and I would like to see what item number 9 looks like. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to be heard? Seeing none, I will close that portion of item number 4, public comment. Go to item number 5, which is the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting of September 10th, 2013?
Mr. Chair, my motion is to approve the final minutes for the Planning Commission meeting of September 10th, 2013.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Please post. Motion carries. The minutes from the Planning Commission meeting of September 10th, 2013 is approved. Going on to item 6, our housekeeping items. Are there any items that the commissioners, staff, applicants, or members of the public would like to pull forward for action? As I would personally like to pull up item number 13 for action, so I'll be looking to see that. Ma'am, if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I'm Tabitha Fittiman, 8345 West Sunset Road, here on behalf of the applicant on items 29 through 33. I'd like to ask that those be held in abeyance for 30 days. Am I in the right spot to ask for holds? Yeah? Okay.
Items 29
Through 33. So
through
29,
33.
30, 31, 32, and 33. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Good evening.
Good evening, Jennifer Lazovich, 8345 West Sunset Road. We sent in a couple of hold letters today, but I believe the one that did not make the cutoff was for items 40 and 41. We are asking that that be held for 30 days until your November 12th meeting.
Thank you.
And then, Pete, you've got that letter. And then since I'm up here, just to be sure, we also asked for items 15 and 16 to be held for 30 days.
Okay, thank
And
you.
we asked for items 20 and 21 to be withdrawn without prejudice.
20 and 21.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
My name is Richard Emanuel. I live at 1632 Mayfair, but I own 1635 Charleston, 1606 Mayfair, 1621 Mayfair, 1606 Mayfair, and 1614 Mayfair. I'm here for item number 17 and 18.
And what do you wish to be done with 17 and 18?
Well, it's my understanding that they're going to build within 1 foot of.
Okay, sir, if you're here to address the item, we'll wait till it comes up.
Okay.
This is to see if you want to obey an item or something to that effect.
Okay, I apologize. Thank you. First time.
Okay, we'll give you a call when it's time. We'll give you your opportunity. Anybody else? Sir, if you'll state your name and address, please.
Yes, it's Chiying Sito, 4550 West Oki Boulevard. I would like to request item number 34 and 36 to be held for 30 days until the next Planning Commission meeting,
Which is this?
34 to 36.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
Anybody else wish to be heard? Okay, does anybody wish to speak on any of these items? Seeing no one, Commissioner Moody, I'll entertain a motion on these housekeeping items.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding items 15, 16, 19, 29 through 33, 34 through 36, 40 through 41, and 47, the motion is to obey. And items 20 through 21, 23 through 24, and 25 through 26, the motion is to withdraw without prejudice.
Okay.
Did I get that right?
Okay, let's, thank you, Commissioner. Let's vote.
Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
question, did you say 20 through 24 or 30 through 34?
Okay, my understanding is we've got 15 and 16. And we have 19, 20, and 21. We have 23, 24, 25, and 26. I believe we have 29 through 33, 34 through 36, and I believe we have 40 and 41, and 47. Okay, so.
Thank you.
Does that comport with everybody's understanding? Thank you. Please vote. Please post. The motion for the housekeeping items passes.
Mr. Chair, I'm looking at the completed motion. It does not appear 47 appears on there. Oh, okay, thank you.
And I did mention 47 when we were recapping.
Thank you.
We'll now go to the one motion, one vote portion of the agenda. The following are items that may be considered in a one motion, one vote. They are considered routine, non-public, and public hearing items. All public hearings and non-public hearings will be opened at one time. Any person representing an application or a member of the public or a member of the Planning Commission not in agreement with the conditions and all standard conditions for the application recommended by staff should request to have that item removed from this part of the agenda. Before I start reading these into the record, I'm going to read them in and vote in block. However, I would like to be noted that item number 7, I will be abstaining on it. My brother is listed as the owner on that. I will also be abstaining on item number 11 because my cousins are the owners of that, and that was also, I've represented them in legal issues in the past, and so out of abundance of caution, I'll be abstaining on that matter, and then I'll be asking for item number 13 to be pulled for public comment. Now I'll go ahead and start reading these in, beginning with item number 7, which is ANX 50680, applicant D.R. Horton, the owner Albert A. Flangus et al., for possible action on a petition to annex 4.12 acres at the southwest corner of Durrell Lane and Eula Street in Ward 6, Councilman Ross. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 8, VAC 50520, vacation public hearing, applicant owner Grand Canyon Village Square LLC for possible action on a request for a petition to vacate a 40-foot wide patent easement located along Grand Canyon Drive on property generally located 498 feet south of Drake Drive, also in Ward 6, Councilman Ross. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 9, MSP 50712, master sign plan. Applicant is D-Rock Gaming. The owner is Tinkler Revocable Trust Number 1 et al. for possible action on a request for a master sign plan for super graphic signage at an existing hotel/casino on a 0.62 acre portion of a 2.42 acre development at 301 Carson Avenue. This is Zone C2 General Commercial. It's in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 10, SUP 50635, special use permit. Applicant First Cup LV Durango and Deer Springs LLC. The owner 1015 Centennial LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit for an existing restaurant with drive-through at 6935 North Durango Drive, Suite 150. This is in Ward 6, Councilman Ross. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 11, SUP 50807, special use permit. The applicant is Aardvark Bail Bonds. The owner is Bonneville Center LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit for proposed bail bond service use at 600 South 3rd Street in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 12, SUP 50810, special use permit. Applicant is Downtown Tattoo. The owner is Mission Springs Property LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a tattoo parlor / body piercing studio use at 1106 Fremont Street in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 14, SDR 50831, site development plan review. Applicant is El Pollo Loco, owner City of Las Vegas, for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 2,932 square foot restaurant with drive-through with a waiver to allow a 5-foot landscape buffer along a portion of the east property line where 15 feet is required on a portion of 4.44 acres adjacent to the west side of Martin L. King Boulevard, approximately 210 feet south of Lake Mead Boulevard in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending approval. Does anybody wish to be heard on these matters?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to abstain on item 14 as much as I'm working with the adjacent property owner on solving some easement questions.
And, Mr. Chair, I'm going to be abstaining on item number 12 due to ongoing business transactions with the landlord of that property.
Okay, sir, state your name and address, please.
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Are you going to show us number 9?
Do you want number 9 polled?
Yeah, I'd like to see what it looks like.
Okay, number 9 will be polled. I apologize, I know you came up earlier on that. Okay, does anybody else wish to be heard on any of the matters that we just read? Saying none, I'll close the public hearing portion of this and open it up for a motion.
Mr. Chair, noting the chair's abstention on items 7 and 11, Commissioner Schlottman's abstention on item 12, and Commissioner Truesdale's abstention on item 14, the motion is to approve items 7 and 8, 10 through 12, and 14.
Mr. Chairman, we need to poll item 12. They did not return their one motion, one vote, accepting those conditions, and we need to have them come to the dais if they're present to accept those conditions on item number 12.
Thank you. So item 12 will be polled as well. Do you accept that change to the motion, Commissioner Moody?
Yes, withdraw the approval on item 12. I can restate it if you'd like.
That's okay. We'll go ahead and vote. Please vote. Please post. Motion carries to approve item 7, item 8, item 10, item 11, and item 14.
Mr. Chairman, item number 7 will go forward to City Council in ordinance format. Items number 8 and 10 are final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days. And items number 11 and 14 will go forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Going to item number 9, which is MSP 50712, Master Sign Plan, applicant D-Rock Gaming. The owner is Tinkler Revocable Trust, number 1 et al., for possible action on a request for a master sign plan for super graphic signage at an existing hotel casino on 0.62 acre portion of a 2.42 acre development at 301 Carson Avenue in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the existing signage was previously approved by means of a temporary sign permit and then an approval from the Downtown Design Review Committee, or the DRC. For wall signs with waivers of the size and illumination requirements, as of May 1st of this year, adopted ordinance 6250 now authorized super graphic signs within the Downtown Centennial Plan. The existing signs are in conformance with the Title 19 requirements for the super graphic signs and are compatible with the surrounding area. Therefore, staff is recommending approval of the master sign plan. Please note that additional letters of support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in the absence of our visuals due to technical difficulties, in response to Mr. Farlow's question, the signs will be the ones that you see up there currently that were permitted under a temporary sign permit.
Does anybody else wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners.
This, Mr. Chair, this was an item that we reviewed at DDRC. It seems to fit with downtown's not offensive. So if there's no other comments, I'd like to make a motion for approval of item number 9, MSP 50712.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 9 carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item will go forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I was just wondering if they were going to change it. That's all.
Thank you. Going on now to item number 12, which is SUP 50810, special use permit, applicant Downtown Tattoo. The owner is Mission Springs Properties LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a tattoo parlor / body piercing studio use at 1106 Fremont Street in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, this use will comprise 1,000 square feet of an existing commercial center, including 400 square foot lobby and one artist station measuring 110 square feet. The proposed use is located within an appropriate area and will be conducted in a manner that will not harm public welfare. Therefore, staff recommends approval of this request. Please note that an additional letters of protest and support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? And sir, if you could state your name and address, please.
Brian Orr, 624 Carson Avenue.
And the reason this was pulled is because we needed you to agree to the conditions that have been set forth.
Okay.
Do you agree to those conditions?
Yes.
Okay, does anybody else of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public portion of this, open it up for discussion amongst the commission.
Mr. Chair, just to repeat, I will still be abstaining on this item as I have business transactions with the ongoing transactions with the property owner.
Commissioner Goins?
Just a quick question. Are you 24 hours?
No.
What's your hours of operation?
12 to 8, 12 to 10 on Friday and Saturday.
Thank you.
Any further discussion amongst the commission? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for approval on SUP 50810, following all staff's recommendations.
Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 12 carries, noting the abstention of Commissioner Slotman.
Mr. Chairman, this item goes forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Item number 13, which is SUP 50820, special use permit, applicant owner Jeffrey D. Payson and Bonnie G. Payson for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed accessory structure, Class 1, at 4720 Windy Hollow Street in Ward 4, Councilman Anthony. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a special use permit to construct an accessory Class 1 in the rear yard with the express intent of providing living quarters for members of the applicant's extended family. As the proposed accessory structure complies with all Title 19 requirements, staff is recommending approval of this request. If approved, staff would like to add the following condition. The accessory structure shall not be separately rented out at any time. Please note that additional letters of protest and support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Is the applicant present? Good evening, ma'am. If you'll state your name and address.
Bonnie Payson, 4869 Basmorta Court.
And the only reason I pulled this was just for that condition there. Do you accept that condition?
I do, thank you.
Okay, that was the only reason. Does anybody else in the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion.
Mr. Chairman, just one question. I was going to ask the director, is this one of the ones that we're going to record on the parcel to ensure that that condition's adhered to when this owner leaves that property?
We don't have that specifically listed in the conditions of approval. However, it is our practice to record conditions of approval.
Mr. Chairman, we may want to get the applicant's approval on that one as well.
Do you agree to that?
I do.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to be heard from the commission? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for approval on SUP 50820, following staff's recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item 13 carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, that item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Okay, going on now to, we're on the public hearing portion of the agenda. We'll start with related items 17 and 18. Item 17 is VAR 50418. The applicant owner is ARSR2 LLC for possible action on a request for a variance to allow a 0-foot rear yard setback where 20 feet is required and a 1-foot side yard setback where 10 feet is required on 0.64 acres at 1625 East Charleston Boulevard in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending denial. Related item number 18 is SDR 50417 for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed 1,850 square foot restaurant and drive-through and a proposed 2,450 square foot general retail building with a waiver of perimeter landscape buffer standards to allow a 3-foot buffer along the west property line where 8 feet is required and a 4-foot buffer along a portion of the south property line where 15 feet is required. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing to demolish the existing restaurant and construct a new 1,850 square foot restaurant with drive-through south of the original footprint. In addition, a new 2,450 square foot commercial building labeled as Building B is proposed to be located in the northeast corner of the property and designed to be improved into up to 4 retail or office tenant spaces. Building B as proposed would not meet the required side and rear yard setbacks. The required landscape buffers along the west perimeter and portions of the north, south, and east perimeter are not being provided. In addition, landscape exceptions are needed in the parking lot in order for the site to meet parking requirements. As the site cannot be built out as proposed without the approval of self-imposed waivers, exceptions, and a variance, staff recommends denial with conditions if approved. Please note that an additional letter of support has been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from the applicant, please.
My name is David Straight, 1223 Heather Oaks Way, and the owner here is A.J. Rashid.
It's Amjad Rashid, 7737 Twin Tail Street.
Thank you.
This site on East Charleston is an abandoned Arby's restaurant building built sometime in the mid-1960s. Our first application called for remodeling that restaurant and adding a separate commercial building. And in order to do this, we requested waivers of the yard setbacks and also landscaping. Now, the new restaurant will be a Church's Chicken, but we found that remodeling, put it back down. It's just flat, where it was. We found that remodeling the old building wasn't feasible, and so we revised our request to include the construction of a new and modern restaurant building. Now, our site is bounded on the north side by an alley, and our neighbors to the east and west have buildings that are very near to the property line already. So we have responded to the suggestions from staff and others to add landscaping to sort of mitigate the fact that it's an odd site that doesn't lend itself to complying to the present zoning code. We propose to expand the landscape area along Charleston. Right now it's about 4 or 5 feet, and we're going to widen that to 10 feet, which puts it within the range of the current zoning code. We have adequate parking. We haven't asked for a waiver on parking. The lot coverage is not overly dense, and in order to allow traffic circulation and use the established drive entrances and take advantage of the established utilities, our plan has been developed as you see it. If it's approved, we have no objection to the staff's conditions.
Thank you, sir. Does any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Sir, if you'll state your name and address, please.
Yes, sir. My name is Richard Emanuel. I own 1632 Mayfair, 1621 Mayfair, 1614 Mayfair, 1610 Mayfair, 1609 Mayfair, 1635 Charleston, and 1655 East Charleston. The property that's just to the northeast of them is my grandparents' property. They purchased it in 1951. My grandmother still lives in it. It's a triplex. She's 94 years old, and I'm concerned about any fire safety issues or hazards we have without having the proper setback. There's also two elder people there that are handicapped that live in that building as well. The properties that I own on Mayfair are just north of his proposed build site. My concern is that the public will use the alley as a thoroughfare or a throughway if he doesn't put a retainer wall up or something to stop them from driving from his property over and using the alley, because it still is a residential area right behind him.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this matter?
Yes, thank you. Todd Farley, 249 19th Street. The previous speaker made a good comment on that, using that alley. The other concern I have on that is it says that there's going to be a drive-through. And my thing with the drive-through has always been those speakers. And because you're going to have neighbors living pretty close, that there's got to be some mitigation there some way. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does anybody else wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chair, through you. This come before us last month, and there wasn't really a landscape plan at all. The parking lot basically was bare. There was no landscape islands at the very back along the alley and going around the building. So they held it in abeyance before I could, because I wouldn't have been in support of this last month. However, I met with them on site, and I told them some of my concerns. And after looking at it, they start adding landscaping, and then after a little bit more conversation, we got landscaping along the alley. This site plan here, or landscape plan, still shows palm trees, and one of the things that I requested of the applicant was I asked if they could put shade trees up along the alley to kind of screen the houses where your mother lives and all the other houses that are on the north side. They're pointing towards the overhead, so I can't read that. It still says fan palms if I'm looking at the overhead on my screen. Is this, can somebody put the overhead back on? Oh, okay, great. So that was updated to help screen the back of this property and also screen the other properties as guests are coming in here. The life safety issues will have to be dealt with by the building department. They're the ones who will determine if a 1-hour firewall or 2-hour, 4-hour firewall would need to be placed, not necessarily by this board. And if a fire sprinkler system needs to go in, then that's something that they'll have to work through before a building permit's issued. So that should help protect the residents across the street. In relation to the building, at the beginning, whenever I was looking at that building that's located towards the eastern side of the site, if it had the 8-foot setback with the neighbor having that property set all the way up to the property line, it would almost create this corridor for homeless and everybody else to kind of migrate behind and actually throw out their cots, and it would kind of be a somewhat of a nuisance. And so once I seen that, I had less of an issue with that setback. So that's my comments. I'd like to see what my fellow commissioners have to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Quinn?
I just wanted to say, I think, sir, I grew up in that neighborhood and spent a lot of time at that Arby's roast beef with my father. And when I see this, it just, it saddens me. And to me, to have a nice development come in there with lights and people and stuff, it's only going to be an advantage to your mom versus a disadvantage. Your grandma,
but yeah, no, I totally understand, because they used to walk over to Arby's all the time
Right.
to get a sandwich.
But-
And I mean, I spoke with this gentleman several times
Right.
already, and I think it's a great idea, and I don't want to stand in the way of improvement. However, my concern is that people are going to use the alleyway as a thoroughfare. What's going to stop them, a few palm trees, from people shooting down that alley? It's a one-way alley. What's going to stop people from going up and down that alley to get to the drive-through?
Well, that's not for me to address at this level, but I will say to you that I think that having an alleyway going one way versus just any way would be better than no way. So I'm going to support this item tonight, and I think it's to the advantage of everybody around. And I think these guys are going to work with you, and it's my hope that you meet with them again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Bonar?
Yes, on the site plan, you've got a trash enclosure. I don't know if that trash enclosure was there before, but that was next door to the residences that we are looking at. Wasn't there some other site on the property that you could have moved that to away from the residences? And maybe I need to start with asking, isn't there a distance factor for trash enclosures from residential?
May I address that?
I'll let you address that. Go ahead, please.
That is an existing trash enclosure that was there, placed there by Arby's in the 1960s. Since it was an existing structure, staff advised us that it wasn't under consideration as a variance item because it exists already. So we didn't propose to move it.
And does the trash pickup come from that alley?
I don't know where the trash pickup comes from. It very well could be, but there is an adequate landing space in front of that trash enclosure in case there's for up to 2 dumpsters.
Commissioner Truesdale?
Let me follow up on that.
Okay.
Then. As a good neighbor, I don't know what the condition of that trash enclosure is, but we have trash enclosures and then we have better trash enclosures, which have lids on them and doors on them that can actually, be anchored to the ground. As a good neighbor, I'd certainly want my trash to be out of the view and spray of any kind of windblown debris. So I would like to I'd like you to ask you to make a statement on the record about what you would do to control that trash.
Would it help if we offered to you that we will actually put a top and sides around that trash enclosure so that we'll keep it in the same place? It currently doesn't have a cover, but we could put a cover on it. It does need to be renovated because it's somewhat damaged right now.
And to add up to Commissioner Bonar, we're going to have the door in front. It will close where the trash will be inside, and it will be sort of hidden, if you will. Yeah.
Commissioner Truesdale?
Question for the app. Is the building, the way you've located this, is it strictly because of the existing drives onto Charleston?
Say the question again?
Where you've located the church's building and the other building, more or less, did the location of the driveways dictate the site plan?
It's partly that. These are existing DOT driveways, and we had indication that we won't have to do anything with those. In fact, we would like to keep the 2 driveways, and that does tend to eliminate traffic in the alley because there's room to come in and out on both sides. But yes, the entrance driveways and the circulation pattern, and you can see the drive-up path around the restaurant. There was a concern about the speakers, so we wanted to keep the restaurant as far to the south as possible, as far away from the residential neighborhood behind it, although those speakers aren't loud enough to be heard that far away.
Reason I say that, and I'll support whatever, the commission wants on this item, but if you look as someone who would turn off Charleston going west, they're directly into the end of a parking stall. They're going to have to make a quick left, and that quick left, even to get into the parking, goes right into the queuing for your drive-through. if somebody's coming north, or the one-way on the alleyway and comes in that side, they will not be able to make the U-turn into this drive-through. So I don't know if the architect, if this is the first quick-service restaurant they've done or not, but there's conflicts here that actually could be simplified. You've got plenty of land for what you want to build, but, and I have no desire to redesign your site here, but by using the existing driveways the way you have, you've created on-site circulation problems that make it less workable for the average driving customer, and for people are going to use the alleyway. That is an absolute given. The circulation points on this show that you have to use the alleyways for the turns. People that are north of this site are going to come down and use the alleyway to get into it. You have 4 parking spaces there that almost the only way to get into them is, in and out of them, is back out into the alleyway. So there are conflicts on this site. But I know Mr. Schlottman, Commissioner Schlottman had visited you down on the site and you know, seems comfortable that I've been going to this since before I could drive. I used the drive-through.
Hope to see you when you.
But I really think you've got this U-turn around the building, and you're creating a drive-through that doesn't function well. Just a thought.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else wish to be heard? Seeing none, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Just one more comment before we vote. I do frequent a couple of the other businesses up and down that street, the IHOP or whatever it is, the Blueberry. Yep. And so, and I live in the neighborhood, so sometimes I do access the alley whenever I'm going there and leaving. But it's something that's going to happen on every one of those restaurants and commercial buildings. But to that fact, I can say that, you know, I don't run into a lot of traffic up and down that alley, so I don't see this as being a big issue. So,
Sir, the public hearing portion's closed now.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
So for the reasons that were stated, and working with the applicant, adding the additional, the landscaping, and having the building located so it doesn't create a place for people to squat behind that building, and the other reasons that I stated previously, I would make a motion for approval of item number 17, VAR 50418. And can I add the condition to bring the trash enclosure up to current standards?
Commissioner Schlottman, I would recommend that you hold that condition to item number 18.
Okay, thank you. That is my motion.
Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 17 carries.
Yes, and Chairman, on item number 18, Bance item re-notification SDR 50417, I would make a motion for approval with the added condition that the trash enclosure is brought up to city standards.
Commissioner Schlottman, one of the things I need to point out, there is a condition number 6 in our staff report, which talks about the need to add a roof, I believe, and doors to the trash enclosure, which essentially would do that. So I believe that is covered under condition number 6.
Okay, thank you.
Please vote. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 18 carries, and Commissioner Slotman, it doesn't reflect your vote there.
Yes, I voted.
We're going to go ahead and revote on item number 18.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, while we revote, could we get a condition? The landscape plan the applicant has shown on the dais, staff does not have a copy of that landscape plan, and we have not seen it at this time. We'd like to add a condition that a revised landscape plan be submitted to the planning department prior to submittal of, prior to any permits being issued.
Do I need to restate the motion?
Yes.
Okay, on item 18, SDR 50417, I would make a motion to, a motion for approval with all staff's conditions, plus the added condition of submitting the landscape plan to city staff prior to issuance of permits, and to ensure that how do we ensure that it's the exact landscape plan? If you haven't seen it, should we get a copy from them and ensure that the shade trees are?
Certainly, what we will do, this item will be going forward to City Council on November the 20th, and so staff will request that the applicant submit into the record the landscape plan that was shown here today. We will use that as the basis for comparison upon permitting.
Okay, thank you. That is my motion.
Thank you. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 18 carries.
And Mr. Chairman, these items 17 and 18 will go forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I may make one more comment, just as a matter of clarification for the gentleman who come out here today and whoever made the comment that about the speakers and it being loud. Our city ordinances actually state if you can hear it at 50 feet and it's too loud. So if you can hear it in your grandmother's backyard or anywhere is 50 feet away, that's in violation of our noise ordinance. You can call the cops and they can get a citation, have it adjusted.
Thank you.
And sir, you were going to put a set of plans into staff. Could you please hand it to the clerk?
Yes.
Make it part of the record.
We'll turn in a revised site plan and landscape plan that matches the one we showed you tonight.
Is that what you're handing us now, or?
We have one now if you want it.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, if you'll hand it to plan.
Mr. Chairman, what we can do is make a copy for the clerk also.
Thank you. Do you have enough copies to give one to the clerk as well? If you don't mind, I would appreciate it. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Commissioner.
We'll now move on to item number 22, which is GPA 50785, General Plan Amendment. Applicant owner is City of Las Vegas for possible action on a request to adopt an updated Parks and Recreation element and revise the 2020 master plan. This covers all wards. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the purpose of the Parks and Recreation element of the Las Vegas 2020 Master Plan is to determine existing and future recreational needs for the city, as well as to establish priorities for the location, development, and maintenance of parks and recreation facilities. The updating of this element is in conjunction with the recently adopted trails element, facilitates continuous conformance with the requirements set forth by Nevada revised statutes for a recreation plan. Some of the major accomplishments are that the city has increased its park service level from 1.1 acres per 1,000 residents to 2.6 acres in 2006 and 2.92 acres per 1,000 residents in 2013, thereby exceeding the city's 2.5 acre adopted standard. The number of parks has increased from 40 to 77 between 2001 and 2013, with 8 of them being constructed since 2008. The city has added 8.24 acres of park area within the underserved southeast sector of the master plan, as well as completed the Boulder Plaza and Stupak Park within the urban core. Additionally, parking planning has been successfully linked to the capital improvement process, and multiple departments routinely consult when designing or planning new parking space. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might just add to the presentation that was given by Mr. Lowenstein, one of the concerns that we have, especially as we were looking at updating this element, was parks in underserved areas. And I think that continues to be a concern from our residents as well. At the neighborhood meeting that we held relative to this general plan amendment, there were some concerns brought forth by Ward 3 relative to parks within that specific sector of the city of Las Vegas, which continues to be underserved by park acreage and has been so for quite some time. One of the requests that we've had from Ward 3 is to look for additional sites within that area, specifically within the areas that we identify as being underserved, and to pursue the development of parks within those areas. Some of the sites that we're looking at include a city-owned site within the Mayfair neighborhood that we were just talking about a couple of minutes ago. And then also further to the east, there are a couple of sites available that are owned by the city that are adjacent to the wash. And so I just wanted to comment on the record that we continue to look for sites within underserved areas so that we may be able to provide park space to our residents within those neighborhoods.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Does any members of the public wish to be heard on this item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chairman, question for staff is, looking forward over the next 15, 20 years as our downtown's growing and, you know, more and more high-rises are coming in and, you know, the land's being built upon, how do we look forward to reserving parcels of land, or does the city have a mechanism for purchasing land, holding it until the time comes that they're ready to develop a new park? I mean, because if we wait around for 15, 20 years, the park's going to cost us 20, 30 times the amount to purchase that property.
Certainly. One of the updated priorities that we have within this version of the park element is priority number 6, which talks about exploring strategies to facilitate additional park space in the downtown area by exploring alternate methods of park development, including but not limited to private-public partnerships, land exchanges, land purchases, donations, and utilization of redevelopment agency funds. So I think we have a number of means to do that, and I agree with you that if we wait until later, it's going to be much more costly to do that. And so consequently, we will look to continue to do things such as we did with Boulder Plaza, where we took an underutilized right-of-way and were able to create a plaza space. So we will continue to look for those opportunities. We'll also look at the public-private partnerships with landowners. So there are a number of things that we'll continue to explore over the next several years to serve the needs of the growing downtown community.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Commissioner Truesdale?
You know, just a quick comment, because Boulder Plaza has been touted as a great park downtown, but it's a barricaded concrete place. It's great for some presentations, but 40–50% of the time I've been down there, it's locked up. So I mean, if that's our plan for downtown parks, I don't think Mr. Slotman or Commissioner Slotman's going to see a lot of success. Similarly, with the Charleston Park going right as part of the John S. Park, it's a rock garden. I mean, there's no. At one time, it was a children's play area and had things, and then we went through this doing away with that, every time we come up with parks downtown, then we find a way to limit them because parks in an urban core deal with a homeless issue, deal with maintenance and a lot of other problems. So I guess I'm curious, do we have a new type of park we want to come up with downtown to make that happen? Because right now, we're spending money on, more money on fencing than park. I think of a park as something with grass and a place for kids to play and families to gather, and maybe that's my misconception of what parks are.
Let me address that, Commissioner Truesdale, if I might. Boulder Plaza is one example of a park. It's not the only example of a park, and really it is a plaza, a public space. We are looking for developing different types of parks in the downtown area, not solely barricaded plazas, if you will. Another example to look at in terms of alternate ways of developing parks in the downtown area is in Symphony Park, the park space that's immediately adjacent to the Smith Center and is actually maintained by the Smith Center itself. And so in that instance, the city is not responsible for the maintenance of the park. The Smith Center actually programs the activities in the park, and yet it's available for residents to enjoy that space. So I think there's quite a number of different ways that we can develop parks and recreation space within the downtown area. There's not solely one model to do that. You do bring up a number of good points in terms of how do we make it safe for people to bring their families to parks. And how do we provide the types of facilities that are appropriate in a desert climate. So we do have quite a number of challenges. I agree with you completely on that. So we'll continue to explore different ways that we can develop parks in the downtown area.
And understand, this isn't a criticism of what we've done. I think Stupak Park is an incredible success. It's for kids. It's near the community center, and seems to be very well received. You know, you go by there, you see kids playing. And that is less than a desirable area in some people's minds, but it's becoming a transition area that's getting better and better. So that's what I'm getting at is, I mean, to me, parks also include public art space and certain things like that. It's just, I guess my personal opinion is I think we made some mistakes, Boulder Park, by putting the jail bars around it.
And the importance is to learn from past mistakes.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard?
I just want to make
Commissioner
a personal comment. This evening when Commissioner Moody came in, he was talking about how a church adopted a parcel next door to a living facility for the elderly, and how they were going to develop it alongside with this convalescent center. And I would love to see more of that, not only just in our downtown area, but everywhere. And I know that it's difficult to find those properties right adjacent to something like that. But I got to tell you, Mr. Moody, my hat's off to you for that project and for you bringing that forward. And I think it's more of a model that we should look at as a city. And thank you very much.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. I wish I could take credit for all of it. I'm a very small part, but we look forward to a successful community garden.
Thank you. Any other commissioners wish to be heard? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Moody or Commissioner Truesdale?
I would move that we adopt the park plan as submitted by staff.
Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item 22 carries.
Mr. Chairman, this item will go forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Move on now to related items 27 and 28. Beginning with item 27 is GPA 50835. The applicant is Carolyn Michael, owner Charlie Rara, a Nevada Limited Partnership, for possible action on a request for a general plan amendment from medium-low density residential to general commercial on 4.62 acres at the southeast corner of Charleston Boulevard and Lundell Road In Ward 1, Councilwoman Tarkanian. Staff is recommending denial. Related item 28 is ZON 50839 for possible action on a request for a rezoning from U undeveloped ML medium low density residential general plan designation to C2 general commercial. In Ward 1, Councilwoman Tarkanian. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have a report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant has revised their request since publication and are now requesting a general plan amendment from ML to SC Service Commercial and a rezoning from U undeveloped to C1 Limited Commercial. Staff was originally recommending denial of the original request as it wasn't compatible with the surrounding area or the general development in the area, which is moving towards a Service Commercial C1 land use. The applicant has since amended their application, and the staff now is recommending approval of the Service Commercial and the C1 Limited Commercial, as this is is compatible with the residential to the south and with the development trends occurring on Charleston Boulevard. Please note we did receive additional letters of support and protest since publication.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from the applicant, please.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Lucy Stewart, 3900 Meadows Lane, representing the item. And as Mr. Rankin indicated, we have submitted a letter asking to reduce our request from the C2 to the C1 and the more intense commercial on the general plan amendment to the less intense service commercial. I wasn't originally part of the submittal, so I suspect that had I been, I would have made that recommendation. But I think what they did was they just submitted it for what had been previously approved prior to the residential. The property had been zoned C2, so they were just trying to reinstate it. They do understand staff's concern, and that's why they did submit a letter reducing the request, and we would ask for your approval.
Thank you. Does any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Quinn?
Mr. What time was this letter submitted? Today?
First thing this morning.
News to me. So we had our meeting and then...
Oh, I apologize. I sent the copy to you in email. I apologize.
Okay. Well, I feel a little taken off guard because I was prepared to discuss the application that we discussed a few days ago over lunch, and I feel not prepared to make a motion on this at this time. I'd like to look at it a little bit closer.
I apologize.
So I'm sorry, I'm not going to, I mean, my other commissioners can talk about it, but I'd like to hold this till the next meeting and meet with you again. Yeah, because, I mean, we just met, and, you know.
Sure, again, I apologize. I emailed, I should have called you, and I apologize.
Yeah, okay, so, well, if anybody else wants to talk on it, that's fine, but my motion will be to hold this till the next planning commission meeting, because it does abut two neighbors, and I don't know if were they notified of this change, these neighbors?
No, they were notified of the more intense request.
So I think the fair thing to do would be to re-notify them or to...
I can reach out to them.
I think so, Lucy, yeah. Okay, so my motion would be to hold this because I didn't see it coming.
Sorry.
So, thank you. That's my motion, to hold it to the next planning commission meeting. Unless if anybody else wants to talk about it.
Motion's on the floor.
I'd like to hold both of them, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to be making a motion for 27 and 28
Yes,
to be
yes,
held to the
Mr.
next planning
Chairman.
commission meeting.
My motion would be to hold GPA 50835 and zone change 50839 till I can meet with Ms. Stewart before the next meeting, and hopefully we can come to an agreement.
Which is November 12, 2013.
And again, I apologize for that.
That's okay. Didn't see it coming, Lucy.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Please vote.
Thank you very much.
Motion to move this matter to the November 12, 2013 meetings approved as to items 27 and 28. Moving on to related items 37 and 38. Item number 37 is VAR 50848. The applicant is Adavin Homes LLC. The owner is JMJ Cheyenne Partners LLC for possible action on a request for a variance to allow no sidewalks along the east and north perimeters where sidewalks are required at 10302 West Cheyenne Avenue in Ward 4, Councilman Anthony. Staff is recommending approval. Related item number 38 is TMP 50847, Cheyenne west of Wallapai, for possible action on a request for a tentative map for a 37-lot, single-family residential subdivision. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, Planning Commission saw the site plan review on this subject parcel at our past meeting. Since then, the applicant has made some revisions to the original site plan at the recommendation of the Planning Commission, and it eliminated the sidewalks that abut the edges of the property on the north and the east. Staff is supporting that as those sidewalks don't service any residential areas, and the applicant has increased the landscape buffer of the single-family homes to the north and the east by the elimination of the sidewalk. Staff also is recommending approval of the tentative map as is in conformance to the approved site plan and recommends approval. Please note we did receive additional letters of support and protest since publication.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening, Jennifer Lazovich, 8345 West Sunset Road, here tonight representing the applicant on both the items. We do appreciate staff's recommendation of support. We also appreciate the Planning Commission's suggestion that we remove the sidewalks in the area where it's really not necessary. Just as a reminder, though, we do have sidewalks around the rest of the project, but in the areas where it really wasn't necessary, we just added additional landscaping at your request, and so I'd be happy to answer any questions. We do agree with all conditions of approval.
Thank you. Does any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Sir?
No, what I'm asking is why was...
Sir, come up to the mic and give me your name and address, please.
Harold Barling, 6164 Pineville Avenue. Why was item 35 skipped over?
Okay, items 35 was part of, at the beginning when we were doing our housekeeping matters, it was moved that would be held to the November 12, 2013 Planning Commission meeting. We announced it, we made a motion on it, and I offered people the...
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, that's all right. It's quick, but I did offer a chance to comment upon it, and so it'll definitely be on, most likely on the November 12, 2013 meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Does any other members of the public wish to be heard on items 37 and 38? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commission.
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Truesdale.
I think the applicants brought back exactly what we had recommended. So I would make a motion for approval of the variance subject to all staff's conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item 37 carries.
And with regards to item 38, the tentative map, move for approval.
Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item 38 carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, please note that items 37 and 38 are final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 39 is VAR 51072. The applicant owner is Wesley Christian Properties, LLC, for possible action on a request for a variance to allow a 7-foot 6-inch side yard setback at the south property line where a 10-foot yard setback is required, and to allow a 48-foot rear yard setback where a 50-foot rear yard setback is required at 1505 Golden Oak Drive in Ward 1, Councilwoman Tarkanian. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is proposing to construct a 5,346 square foot single-family residence on .48 acre lot within an existing residential subdivision. In doing so, the applicant is requesting to deviate from both the side and rear yard setback requirements. No evidence of a unique or extraordinary circumstance has been presented, and the applicant has created self-imposed hardship by proposing to an oversized house for the subject parcel. An alternative floor plan utilizing a reduced footprint would allow for conformance to Title 19 requirements. In view of the absence of any hardship imposed by the site's physical characteristics, it is concluded the applicant's hardship is preferential in nature and staff is recommending denial. Please note that additional letters of protest and support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
And I am going to go ahead and abstain on this matter because I've represented your property manager on various issues in the past, and so out of an abundance of caution, I'll be abstaining, and I'll be handing it to Commissioner Moody.
Good evening. This has already been read into the record, and we've heard the staff report, so will the applicant please state your name and address for the record, please?
Kevin Steiner, address 875 East Silverado Ranch.
John Burke, 1700 Monte Rio Court.
Go ahead.
We initially purchased the property and began design for a client who had desired to live in this property. They encountered some hardships. We weren't able to finalize the design with them, but we had gone to the point where we spent enough, capital and such that we needed to finish the project and the current design. In lieu of, their hardship and going back to them after, additional money that we'd already spent on the property, we decided to continue and to finish the design. Having worked with home builders in the past, we were under the impression that the side yard setbacks for this area and for most areas in general were 5 feet. And having approval from the HOA, we maybe to our own error assumed that would be sufficient. Upon submitting the plans to the city, we were notified that we needed a 10-foot setback, worked with the Planning Commission in doing so, and notified the neighbors. Neighbors all approved, had no issues with them either. HOA loves the property, excited to have it come out of the ground, and we're just waiting for a potential variance.
Thank you. Anything else?
Just in the design of the home, we wanted to do a side-loaded garage to make it appeal to the neighborhood, and also we're trying to keep all the various plant material that's already on the lot. As you see in the pictures there's mature trees. So we've designed the home around those trees to keep all those mature trees there. So that's why the house is designed the way it is, and we're hoping that we can receive a variance and final action tonight. Thanks.
Thank you. Let's open this up for public comment. Mr. Farlow?
Thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. I appreciate the fact that they're designing the house around the mature trees and not taking them out. Thank you very much.
Any other public discussion? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment and open this for discussion among the Planning Commission.
I met with you guys, and I thought I was at a park. I've never seen a lot maintained more beautiful in my history of living here or as a planning commission. The issue is this little variance here, and the fact that there was no neighborhood meeting held, and I know the homeowners association agreed with your property. What I'd like to see happen, if it's possible, is it possible, Director, to make an motion for approval of this project to go forward to City Council with them holding a neighborhood meeting in between now and that council meeting? Is there time? Because these guys want to get out of the ground. The councilwoman wants to see it. This is a very, very passionate part of her ward, and it's a passionate project for these guys. So can I do that?
The commissioners may request that the applicant hold a neighborhood meeting. In terms of the timing of that, Because this item would go forward to the November 20th meeting, that does give them adequate time
I think so.
to establish a meeting date and send out notice to neighbors.
I would like to expedite it as much as I can for them, as well as have a neighborhood meeting out of respect for the neighbors in the area and out of respect for the councilwoman. So my motion would be for approval with a neighborhood meeting prior to the November 20th city council meeting. And it's just glorious. I hate to even see a build on that, really. It's like a park.
Well, thank
So,
you.
thank you. That's my motion.
Can I just ask the applicant if you agree to that?
Absolutely. If we could we submit consideration for the October 28th city council meeting, giving us time to send out notices this week, have a meeting next week or the week after, in time for the October 28th meeting?
Mr. Vice Chair, just to respond, we wouldn't have adequate time to notice the item for City Council for the second meeting date in October.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, so understanding that you could not do it the end of October, you're still willing to abide by the conditions set forth in the motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the motion is made for approval subject to the added condition of the neighborhood meeting.
That's my motion. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, my God. Beautiful.
Please post. Okay, that motion carries.
And Mr. Vice Chair, please note again that this item will go forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
And Mr. Chair, will they be CCing the councilwoman's office or you, Commissioner, about that meeting date?
Yes, we will work with the applicants in terms of establishing the neighborhood meeting and also notifying the council office.
Great.
Thank you. We'll move on now to related items 40 and 41. Item number 40 is TMP 50852. Or, excuse me, be moving on now to 42. I apologize. Item number 42, which is MSP 50453. The applicant owner is WMCV Phase 1 LLC et al. For possible action on the major amendment to an approved master sign plan to add 14.68 acres to the site area to add one 30-foot tall freestanding sign with 4 electronic reader boards, to add 6 2,968 square foot LED display wall signs on the existing parking garage, and to allow LED on the 11 existing wall signs approved by MSP 40138, where they were approved only for vinyl and laminate materials at 445, 455, 475, and 495 South Grand Central Parkway in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting to amend the existing sign plan for the World Market Center to add one 30-foot tall freestanding sign and 6 2968 square foot wall signs to the parking garage, and to add the option to provide LED illumination on all of the approved and proposed wall signs in the development. The signs that are proposed are in conformance with the previous master sign plan approvals and Title 19. Therefore, staff recommends approval with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening, John Lelu, here on behalf of the applicant, 3773 Howard Hughes Parkway, the Greenberg Torrey Law Firm. We appreciate staff's recommendation of approval, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Does any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Truesdale?
Just for staff, if I understand this, we're not putting LED signs, large format LED signs facing the freeway, are we? Under this plan?
I believe we are, yes, with the ability to have LED signs on any of the proposed wall signs.
Could you speak up, please?
I said, through you, Mr. Chairman, yes, It's to provide LED illumination on all of the approved and proposed large wall signs in the development.
I just, we're widening the freeway there, we're tearing down buildings, we're putting hundreds of thousands. Static signs seem to be appropriate for this, and I supported them wholeheartedly, but you've got residential areas facing to the west that are within a reasonable proximity of this project, and I think this lends itself to one of those things that just could be intensely lit and provide a potentially dangerous, I mean, I'm looking at the whole side of that building, and I see it every day when I drive through there. If that was a lighted LED sign, I can't get there to support it, sorry.
Any other commissioners wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, in light of the comments of the commissioner, I reviewed this and find it to be appropriate, meets all the conditions. I know, Mr. Ladle, you don't have a, I know we do a kind of a shadow layout when we do some projects, but do you have anything to show us that the LED would be safe and wouldn't be a hazard to people driving, or reflection of something of that type? I mean, I support the request.
Mr. Chair, through you to Commissioner Goins, I appreciate your support. I did not bring anything with me today. However, I would point out for the commission that the LED signage that has been proposed has been conditioned by staff to be of a sufficient brightness to be seen, but not overly bright so as to blind people and be completely obnoxious for the surrounding areas. In fact, that was included within the staff report, that the surrounding areas were to be taken into account. In addition, what the applicant did ask for was the ability to use LED, but not necessarily, it wasn't necessarily thought of that it would for sure be used at every signage location on the facility. I'm not saying that that's not going to be the case, but I'm just giving you the background of the application for your own edification.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you.
Or, I don't know if...
Go ahead, Commissioner Truesdale.
One of the signs that are on the, I guess, rust section of Building C, I guess it is, if that is illuminated the way it could be, this one that's here, item 42, this, just the normal lighted billboards, you can see through that corridor pretty intensely. This thing will cast light in the neighborhood just east or west of Martin Luther King. This will be visible, potentially visible all the way to the City Development Services building, and which is exactly what we talked about, unless everybody, maybe staff forgot or something, but this is what we talked about when we talked about the super graphics and how they were illuminated not to burden the neighbors. And here, this one I think would not only meet that burden, but would exceed it immensely. You have apartments, you have condominiums, you have residential that are not that far away, and they're all single-story buildings. Nothing is as big as this complex, and it shows incredibly well, but now you light it up like a spaceship, it's gonna be an impact on the residential character, and it's gonna be out of character for the downtown and out of character for the Smith Center, the Clark County Courthouse, the adjacent retail around it. And I think right out of the gate, we go down the wrong way. And you may not do that today, but that's what you're asking for. And if that's what we're going for. We're really, that's not what we talked about on Super Graphics. It's not what was presented to the board here. It's not what was anticipated, because we asked for elevations, and we asked the director to give us some examples of what would be acceptable or wouldn't be acceptable, so we didn't have casinos overwhelming the stuff east of here. And this would be contrary to everything that was reported and purported to this board that went into the decisions that went into a recommendation to council. So I guess we can all change our minds, but I don't see how we can sit here and say this was what was presented to us when we voted on this before. So.
Commissioner Truesdale, I agree with you. So what concerned me was that the applicant was shaking his head no, that it wasn't going to be facing the freeway. Am I correct, Peter? And then you said it was going to be facing the freeway. I mean, the lamination would be such that it would be facing the freeway. And then what is the intensity of the lighting? Like, how light can it be at night? Like, I don't understand the lighting. Is it just, I mean, like, how bright is that? I mean, that's a big freeway.
Well, the lighting standard for super graphic signs for LEDs was set at 300 nits, which is a measurement of light intensity. I don't know how to describe it. A nit is a measurement of sunlight, and the sun is 10,000 nits if you stare directly at it. So it's 300 nits is the maximum that we would permit. It's kind of hard to describe what it is. It's very, even for someone like myself with a science background, to describe what 300 nits is compared to the sun, it's quite small, but it's still bright enough to see, but it's not overly. There are some LED signs, I understand, that can get up to above 1,000 nits without a problem, and this would limit it to 300 nits, which is a federal standard at this time for these type of signs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chairman. The Viva Las Vegas sign can get up to 10,000 nits. It's pretty bright. It's hard for me to understand what nits are too, since we're always measuring light and foot candles. So trying to do that conversion, I can't really understand. But if you can Google that for us. And I always go back to the Viva Las Vegas sign because Steve Evans and I were driving down the road one night and almost ran off the street because it flashed and blinded us for a couple of seconds. So I would be curious as to find out how bright this will be as you're driving up and down Interstate 15. So I don't know if I would be willing to make a motion on this in support tonight due to the fact of not knowing how bright that is.
Well, I know we're concerned about the neighbors. We're concerned about having public input on this. Maybe the applicant would hold a public meeting inviting the people within 2,000 feet of this, the residences that are to the west, and let people understand what the city has planned for them. I mean, I have no opposition to public meetings.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think through the applicant, I believe he said that the illumination would not be on all buildings, but on some buildings. Is that correct?
That's the initial plan. The application is to allow LED lighting where the signage has been previously approved. So conceivably, if you carry it out to its conclusion, Commissioner Goins, it could conceivably be that LED lighting would be used on all of the
and so what you're representing in your backup that we see today is just a rendering on each of the buildings. Are you saying that these are the buildings and this is going to be the wrap, or are you showing us what the maximum amount could be on those buildings? Or is this a representation of what you're planning on putting on each of those?
I'm showing you what the maximum amount could be on the buildings.
Yeah. So I can still support it. I think what I may want to do is put a review on this and bring it back to a public hearing in a year.
Are you saying the city would ask somebody to take a $5 million sign down, Commissioner, once it's up? I mean, we won't make people take down a $2,000 sign when they're inappropriate. So what's the review going to get us? Once this is lit up, the way this potentially is, there's no turning back in the downtown core. And we just now say that every building in the downtown that's like this, you could have a drive-in theater going on the side of it. That's what this will look like to those people coming on the freeway from Summerlin and the people getting off at Rancho. The neighborhood that your council person is involved with, this isn't static. This is potential video LED, and the price is coming down geometrically. So it won't be long before this makes economic sense.
Mr. Chair, if I could just interject very quickly. Condition number 4 states that this is limited to static images that shall change no more than once every 6 seconds. We've used basically the same language as we have in the super graphic sign ordinance, so there is a limitation to static images only. Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Commissioner Boner?
Yeah, my patience was stretched on the vinyl for the downtown, and we made sure that the surfaces that face the freeway, the potential for distraction, were covered. And this leaves that theory in the dust. I'm sorry, I don't think a neighborhood meeting is going to convince me that any animated sign on the freeway faces is going to get my support.
Any other commissioners wish to be heard? Commissioner Moody? Wow.
Yeah, many times I'm deferential to my fellow commissioners, but there was a statement that I have to agree with tonight. I don't believe it is compatible with some of the surrounding uses, and for many of the reasons that my fellow commissioners have stated tonight, I don't think I'll be able to support this.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Goins?
Well, let me, I guess, the applicant's kind of hearing the vibe on this, so let me just ask him, is he amenable to holding this for further discussion for about till the next Planning Commission meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Then my motion would be, well, let me ask, through the director, let me ask you, how much discussion has been had on this item by stakeholders in the downtown area?
That I'm aware of, none has been held with stakeholders. The signage for this property, the master sign plan for this property, was approved prior to the adoption of our super graphic ordinance. And while the stakeholder group did look to the signage on the World Market Center that they had approved at that time as an example of what could be permitted in the downtown area, again, this current request that you have before you has not been reviewed by downtown stakeholders that I'm aware of.
Then what I'm hearing is, since there hasn't been that, I'm gonna hold and request that you do notice and have a meeting with the folks most affected in the downtown area. And when I say most affected, I'm referencing those mostly on the residential side of the pendulum as opposed to the business side. So that would be my motion to hold.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to do that for longer than 30 days, or I'm not sure how long a meeting like that would take, so.
Do you hear him, Commissioner Goins? He's wanting to know if 30 days is adequate.
I'm contemplating, I'd like to go 60.
I'd like to be informed of that meeting, please.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor.
And just to clarify, that would be to the December 10th Planning Commission meeting?
Mr. Ladle, can you notify me on as you go through the notification process?
Happy to do so.
Thank you.
Please vote. Motion to obey this matter to the December 10, 2013 meeting carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on now to item number 43, which is MSP 50845. The applicant is New Boca Syndications Group LLC, owner New Boca Syndications Group LLC et al., for possible action on a request for a major amendment of an approved master sign plan for an existing shopping center on 22.15 acres on the east side of Rampart Boulevard, approximately 1,250 feet north of Charleston Boulevard. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the northern portion of the site contains an existing shopping center with existing internally illuminated freestanding entry signage along Rampart Boulevard frontage. The applicant is requesting an amendment to the approved master sign plan for the shopping center to replace the existing 40-foot tall freestanding sign with a new 40-foot tall, 479 square foot freestanding sign with a 7-foot LED display screen on both sides and space for tenant advertisement panels, as well as a new 28-foot tall arched identifying freestanding sign is also proposed on the interior of the site, perpendicular to Rampart Boulevard, with a copy of Boca Park Fashion Village. As the proposed signage is in conformance with all the Title 19 requirements for the C1 Limited Commercial Zoning District and is compatible with the existing commercial uses in the vicinity, staff recommends approval with conditions of both of this application. Please note that additional letters of protest and support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. I'm Jesse Wetherill, 6630 Arroyo Springs, representing the applicant. As was read in the staff report, all these signs follow the Title 19 requirements. We would just like clarification for one condition that talks about on-site signs, I believe it, for this one, and also item 44. Since these parcels have been linked, the Fashion Village as well as the Marketplace have been linked since their inception, really. The applicant chooses to ask that we can advertise for parcels A on parcel B and vice versa. And so that would be a definition of on-premise signage.
Mr. Rankin?
I think we can indicate that this is one commercial subdivision. It has split zoning on it of C1 and planned development, made up of Boca Park 1 and 2, and then Boca Park 3 is our planned development with the planned development agreement. I think originally when this project came in, there was a decision the planned development wasn't used very much. They did Boca Park 1, they added Boca Park 2, and that was all done as C1, and then they added Boca Park 3 as a planned development. Both developments require a master sign plan. The site functions as one shopping center, one commercial subdivision. They share ingress, egress, they share parking, so it's conceivable that they would also possibly share signage throughout the site. It is being done as a master sign plan, and we do have both of them here. They are slightly separate. Boca Park 3 would be your signs 4 and 5 on your screens in front of you, and then the other signage occur on Boca Park 1 and 2. So I think hopefully that answers the applicant's question, is that if they advertise fries on sign number 1, it shouldn't be an issue for us. If they advertised Coca-Cola on sign number 1 or Fairway Chevrolet, that would be a problem. And I did use a company that was out of business, at least one of them.
Right. The applicant would not choose to advertise for somebody who wasn't on the premises.
Thank you. Does any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Bonar.
Question of staff, kind of led to it by the talking about both parcels. If this was considered one parcel, are they oversigned or at the meeting the ordinance on total signage? And I can tell you didn't study it that way. Perhaps, Jeff, you can help us? Jeffrey?
Pardon me, Jesse.
Could you tell us?
Oh, okay. I don't believe that if you combined all as one parcel that it is oversigned, considering the frontage along Rampart is so long, as well as Charleston. I believe that we're undersigned separate and undersigned altogether.
Do you have any graphics that show which of these are new versus which of these exist?
Actually, the only ones I've brought are the ones that have been scanned in. I can, for this item, it's very small here.
No,
It's these.
no, please do it on the site plan, not on the elevation.
Pardon me? Oh, on the site. So for this item.
Up a little higher, please. Thank you.
For this item, the only one that we are actually looking at is number 4 here. Number 5 is the archway not visible from the street. And then for the next item, we're replacing the main pylon with a 4-sided sign here. These are both existing, and then there's additional wayfinding signs.
Is that just the archway then?
Toward the interior. So these are interior signs. Item 3D, 3A, and 5 is the archway. All of these are replacing existing signs.
3B, do you have a specific location for 3B?
Yes, it's this first entrance off of Charleston.
I know where. I mean, where, in what tree island or where?
It's in that main island as you first enter, so you can.
It's not a very wide piece, though. It's an archway only?
No, sir.
So it's got panels on it?
Yes, sir.
And what's the depth of it? It seems like it had to be about 2 feet at max. Is that going to fit?
Absolutely. And I don't believe that those signs add to our overall square footage because they are not.
Okay, so it's not a block sign like the other BOGA signs along the road?
Exactly.
All right, thank you.
Any other commissioners?
Yeah,
Commissioner Truesdale?
God, it's a great night for signs. But this is for staff and I guess the director and the city as a whole. We've gone to these LEDs, and they are the latest and greatest opportunity here. But we approved one at Rampart and Sahara. I'm by there every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's got nothing but liquor ads on it, and there's not a liquor store in the development. You say, well, you guys aren't going to advertise anything that wouldn't be appropriate. 5 minutes after these are up, everybody advertises everything. Even the developers at Tivoli run public service, which are not on site. They run some others that are questionable on-site ads. The LED on Rainbow at Lake Mead, the first one that kind of came into being here, has got, if you want advertising, call here. It doesn't say if you want to be a tenant, come here. It says if you want to be advertising. And here, you've got signs all over these buildings. There's another business that I guess is getting ready to open up in the Boca Park that has 2 large LEDs on a marquee face on the front of its building that we never saw here before us. I guess the question is, who's going to mind the store in the city of Las Vegas? Because the sign companies are going to be the ones that kill the goose that lays the golden egg. If you put so many signs on all these developments, the signs are going to suddenly become worthless to the retailers that use them. So they are going to go to off-site, off-premise. And every time we go down this road, we whittle away at our off-premise code to where we don't have any control over this. It's whatever whoever's programming this wants to do, and I don't know, I'm really amazed that the billboard people aren't down here screaming as loud as they should be, because every one of these means they're not going to be doing billboard advertising, because these guys are going to be doing it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
going to, we aren't policing it now, so there's no way that we're going to get any better at policing it.
Right, and I'm not sure how far code enforcement goes into making sure that on-premise signs are only advertising on-premise. It's actually a discussion that I had with staff this afternoon. And that's a very big concern, because it seems like a lot of people are just
But what
selling
you're
ad
doing here
space.
is, it's a 90-acre center, and Phase 1 belongs to somebody, Phase 2 belongs to somebody, but you're the management company, so you want to put the signs up. So the management company is going to drive the revenue on these signs. And for the management company, that becomes off-premise. And however we think we're going to spin the code here, because it's a large deal, these become off-premise signs. So we put another gap in the legal control of our sign program in the city of Las Vegas. And it's only going to get worse. Worse for the city attorney, worse for staff, and as we find out in most of our government controls, when it gets too big, they just throw up their hands and go, that's not our problem anymore.
Right, that absolutely makes sense, and I can't speak to how they are going to want to drive revenue for these signs, but these are some very big businesses in there, like there's the Fry's, the Total Wine. They will certainly be...
Most of those tenants don't pay for advertising that way. Most of those tenants aren't the ones signing up for here. The Total Wine probably won't, I mean, you can look at this, you can contact the Total Wines don't go out and in themselves buy advertising. They get advertising dollars from every liquor company, so it'll be Budweiser, it'll be Coors, it'll be Jack Daniels, and Total Wine will be a co-advertiser here. Target, I've seen these LEDs on a lot of the Target centers. You don't see Target's name up. They're not buying ads. They're not going to waste their ad dollar. They're the biggest tenant there. They're one of the principal players on the sign anyway.
Right.
This is a management company driving revenues, trying to get more revenues out of this center than the tenants. And it's just, as long as we all know what we're voting on, and we're going to vote to give up any kind of control of our sign codes, then yeah, let's build them.
Any other commissioners wish to be heard? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, having visited the site a number of times, and the center itself is a premier center. It's got some of the best uses available. And I think you only have yourself to blame if this goes awry.
Right.
I think of it, unfortunately, and too many of you are probably too young to know what the Burma Shave signs are, but I'm driving around again today. I said, wow, I see that Boca Park sign every place I'm turning. And now you're adding a couple more signs that are shouting it even louder.
Right. Well,
Nonetheless, you fit the ordinance. You're not oversized. You're not having too many locations. And I almost feel compelled to move for approval on item 43, subject to all staff conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item 43 carries.
Mr. Chairman?
I haven't read, they're separate items, so Director is going to have to give the ruling whether this goes to City Council first.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. This item is final action in the absence of an appeal within 10 days.
Now, I'm going to have to read item 44 in. Item 44, which is MSP 50849, the applicant is Boca Park Marketplace LV LLC. The owner is Boca Park Marketplace LV LLC et al. For possible action on a request for a master sign plan for an existing shopping center on 47.30 acres at the northeast corner of Charleston Boulevard and Rampart Boulevard in Ward 2, Councilman Beers. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a new master sign plan for the southern portion of the site as none previously existed. The applicant is to add a four-sided, 40-foot tall freestanding sign with 337 square foot LED reader screen on each face of the corner of Charleston Boulevard and Rampart Boulevard, and to replace the interior directional signs with internal illuminated single-faced monument signs. In addition, the four existing freestanding signs along both frontages are proposed to be reconstructed in place with larger tenant panels. As the proposed signage is in conformance with Title 19 requirements for the C1 zoning district and is compatible with the existing commercial uses in the vicinity, staff recommends approval with conditions of this application. Please note that additional letters of protest and support have been received after the publishing. Thank you.
Thank you. And if we could have the applicant come back up, just state your name and address, please.
Jesse Wetherell, 6630 Arroyo Springs.
And I'm assuming all the arguments are the same for item 44 as they were for item 43?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Does anybody in the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion and open up item 44 to the commission, and probably just a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion on this item for approval, subject to the condition that goes to City Council for their review.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item 44 carries.
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, per the comments of Commissioner Truesdale, this item will go forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to item 45, which is SUP 50774. The applicant owner is Dakar Enterprises LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 5,669 square foot tavern limited establishment at 1201 South Las Vegas Boulevard, suite number 110 in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, staff finds the proposed use to be compatible and harmonious with the surrounding uses and is recommending approval. Please note we have received additional protests since publication.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please? Sir, if you'll state your name and address.
Good evening, Chairman Flanagan, and good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ron Pokrivka. I live at 1404 Maria Elena Drive, Las Vegas, 89104. I go by Ron Dakar, which is my stage name. I currently own the properties at 1205 and 1201 Las Vegas Boulevard, which is home to the business of Viva Las Vegas Wedding Chapel, which I opened in 1999. I've recently purchased the 1201 property, which houses the Ocha Thai Cuisine restaurant, which is my tenant, and the new Viva Las Vegas Event Center, which is located at the back part of the property. We went under extensive renovations over the past 8 months. I purchased the property on December 31st at 5 p.m. and assumed I would be through all the construction in about 3 months. 8 months later, everything takes longer and costs more than you plan, and we're finally open. We've sort of missed the wedding business. That's my forte. We are at the end of our season here at the end of October. I'm here before you tonight to try to get a limited tavern license so that we can open up to hold other events at the event center. My original purpose was going down to talk to Minerva at licensing and also talk to Yorgo in planning in regards to what kind of events I could hold at the event center besides receptions. My background is show business. I have a lot of show business friends who have seen the room and were coming up with all kinds of different ideas that they wanted to rent it for, and I thought I'd better ask licensing what I really could do. So that's sort of what spurred this whole reason for me to go for the limited tavern license. People had come up to me and asked about doing cabaret or repertoire, dinner shows, open mic, having sports events, award shows, charitable events, bands, having big bands, like with Frank Sinatra, that kind of feel. Also, we wanted to do something called a Broadway brunch in conjunction with the Smith Center, having it from 4 to 7 o'clock prior to the show so people could come by and have an afternoon buffet, and then have a little bit of a Broadway experience every 35 minutes, having people perform on the stage, which we have currently at the Event Center, and then maybe having an after-show cabaret where the performers from the Smith Center shows come back and perform similar to what they do out at the Bootlegger. Those are reasons why I went for the limited tavern license, which I was steered that direction by Minerva and Yorgo. I hope that you would support me tonight in regards to letting us get the limited tavern license with a final action tonight due to we would like to be able to get the holiday traffic and fill the room. We can seat up to 316 people for dinner and a show and performance. I have some pictures if you need to see the event center, if that is needed. But I would appreciate your support tonight.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Does any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Come on up, sir, and please state your name and address, please.
My name is Ronald Longley. I live at 416 Beethoven Street. I'm a licensed B2 general contractor. I was the contractor on the job. I'm here in support of Mr. Dakar. I'd like me to speak a little about what we've done to the property and where it's at. What we had is it's an existing 11,500 square foot building. About 5,700 square feet of it is on the banquet side, and the other remaining portion is the Osha Thai restaurant. Of the 5,700 square feet, we did a 100% remodel on the interior, and 100% of the exterior of the building was remodeled, as was about 21,600 square feet of the parking lot. So the parking lot's been completely redone. We went through every part of the building department and fire safety planning with the health district and all the utility companies. We tapped the water main on Park Paseo, and we brought in a new fire sprinkler system and life safety system that allowed us to increase our occupancy to about 316 people, occupants. We've completely re-landscaped, which is 28 trees, 400 plants. We have 22 perimeter decorative lights and 3 30-foot halogen parking lot lighting, so it's completely illuminated the whole area, making it quite a bit nicer. And the parking lot is now also completely handicap compliant. It also has a new code-compliant trash enclosures, and the whole building has been stuccoed, painted. It's been accented with crown molding along its top edge and accented with mosaic inserts. We placed new 9-foot double-arch steel decorative glass doors on the front of it for its entry. The interior of the building it's amazing. It's got a dozen 7-foot chandeliers, architectural woodwork, floor to ceiling. It's got a full stage, which fully automated curtain, production grade lighting.
You got it. I think we understand very well, and I appreciate your time. We got a little bit of limited time per speaker on that. Okay. So thank you very much for coming up and speaking on this. I think this gentleman was next, Mr. Farlow, then we'll get to you.
Yeah, thank you. Todd Farlow, 240
Mr.
North
Farlow,
19th Street.
I think this gentleman here, he had come up and sat down because the mic was...
Zohar Robin at 1213 South Las Vegas Boulevard, representing Super 8. We are great supporter of Ron Dakar Tavern Limited license, and we hope that more going to come to the area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, Mr. Farlow, thank you for your
Todd
patience.
Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. What they do on the strip, I don't care. But I'm looking at the parking, and they said they're going to have 316 people possibly. Do they bus them in or what? Because there's not the parking spaces there. I'm just curious.
Thank you. Do any other members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Ma'am, come up. Good evening. If you could state your name and address, please.
My name is Charlene Lewis McGinnis, 724 Straight Street, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89110. I have been working with Ron on this project since inception of when he bought the lot, and he took a very big eyesore in that neighborhood and made it into the jewel that it is. And I support what he's doing with this center as well as the limited tavern that he's requesting, and I thank you for your time and your approval on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else wish to be heard on this matter? Saying none, I'll open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chair, through you, I think it's compatible with the area, compatible along Las Vegas Boulevard, offers you the most amount of flexibility with all of your different events that you're going to have on your property. Could you, and through the chair, could I ask you to address Todd Farlow's comments? What do you do when you have that many people on site?
Most of our events are brought in by buses. We also have an agreement with the lady that owns the parking lot across from Park Paseo in regards for any events, being able to rent her parking lot with a valet person that night.
Okay, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
And so I'm in support of this. I appreciate you finally working out all your differences with your neighbor. I'll say that every time y'all come up, because it's better having y'all working together than working against each other, and getting the signs knocked out. And it's just one side comment. It's this sign that's 10,000 nits. It almost ran Steve and I off the road. So
I have a question for you about that. How did you figure that out? Because I'm totally unaware of that.
Oh, I was just making a comment. I didn't have a meter.
Yeah,
when
I think we're beyond the scope of our land use issue here.
So I won't, we'll talk about that some other time.
Okay.
And I won't condition that and tie that to this application because it's something totally different.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Commissioner Slotman, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to abstain on this item in as much as I own property within the notice area. But could I ask one question?
Not if you're abstaining. I don't think it's.
Unless it's a factual issue that.
It's just a fact, it was a question about the interior. It wasn't.
Can I show the
That's
picture?
fine.
What's a couple's lounge?
It's an area where a curtain can close off for the bride and groom if they want to get away from the grandmother that's bugging them.
Thank you.
Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chairman, through you, on item number 45, SUP 50774, I would make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for approval with all conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 45 carries, noting the abstention of Commissioner Truesdale.
Mr. Chairman, this item will go forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
And we're going to go ahead and take about a 10 or 15-minute break at this juncture.
channel the water put a little deep down under the reservoir. Out that water. Denver sucks drought. If that's water that actually goes on, it's on the other side of the line. So basically, but every year they pay billions of dollars in damages for floods. And what
We're going to start in about a minute. Forty-six and 48. Okay, we're back on. We're going to start with related items 46 and 48. Item number 46 is SUP 50823. The applicant owner is 217 LVB LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 118-unit single-room occupancy residence in an existing building at 217 North Las Vegas Boulevard in Ward 5, Councilman Barlow. Staff is recommending approval. Item number 48, which is SDR 50826, for possible action on a request for a site development plan review for a proposed private pedestrian plaza and the conversion of a 3-story 162-unit hotel to single-room occupancy residence. Staff is recommending approval. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, regarding the use requested, the staff finds the request to be compatible and harmonious with the surrounding uses. Regarding the site development plan review, the proposed development meets the intent of the Downtown Centennial Plan and the stated goals for the Gateway District of providing opportunities for community gathering and co-working, and staff recommends approval of both applications. Please note we have received additional letters of support since publication.
Thank you. May I hear from the applicant, please?
Todd Kessler, 300 Las Vegas Boulevard North, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89101. I was going to say that I'm here to just recommend approval and subject to conditions, but since you guys took a break, I figured I'd take an opportunity to say a little bit about the project. It's not about signage, so this is a good one. And as you know, I have a storied history with signage. I was a stakeholder for 3 years during those super graphic sign ordinances. But this is a great project. This is the Gold Spike Casino Hotel. And what we've brought forth for you today is one item is an SUP for a single-room occupancy. That allows us to have a different thought process as it relates to the casino hotel tower that exists now. It's going to allow us to have monthly rentals, which is something that the downtown community right now is in need of, given the Zappos employees, the median income of those employees and the needs that currently exist in downtown. So this hotel will offer an opportunity for some folks to live more inexpensively in downtown than you could, and that's the reason for the SRO. As it relates to the SDR for the private outdoor plaza, it provides us a lot of flexibility to have certain events at this location. If you guys haven't been yet, it's been a total revamp that's occurred at the Gold Spike. I'd ask and beg for you guys to come down and see what it's about. It's gotten a lot of great reviews. A lot of people in downtown are really enjoying what's going on at the Gold Spike now that it doesn't have any gambling. And these private outdoor plazas allow us to have a lot of different events that are somewhat kind of difficult to have in today's codes here. And this private outdoor plaza allows flexibility so that we don't have to always fight against a code that might be in existence. And I'll give you one example is the food truck code. And that only allows a certain number of food trucks in a certain spot. And by doing this, it kind of gives you an ability to have a few more. And that's one of the avenues that will be used by this outdoor plaza. I'm happy to answer any questions and ask that you approve subject to staff conditions.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Does any member of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Saying none, I will close this matter for public comment and open it up for comment with the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, couldn't get this in earlier. I'm going to be abstaining on this item as I'm under contract with the client, and Mr. Kessler writes a lot of my checks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner
Chairman?
Truesdale?
For staff, does the converting this to the single-room occupancy, does that change the underlying gaming approval there that exists? Because as I understand, I mean, I'm just trying to understand if that gaming use goes away with that change?
We're not finding that the gaming use goes away. The gaming is, use is regulated to the existing commercial on your screen there. That's APN 139-34-515-004. That's the only location where the legal, non-conforming, non-restricted gaming can occur. The hotel rooms are situated throughout, and this item wasn't, their gaming is not contingent upon providing hotel rooms. Their gaming was contingent upon their previous operation of a hotel casino. As a matter of fact, some of the hotel rooms were added subsequent to their establishment of the non-restricted gaming.
So the original single-floor gaming area was there, and the hotel came, some of that?
Yes, and it was entitled originally as a tavern with non-restricted gaming.
Okay.
A long time ago. Yeah, and it took us a long, and we were still working on this as late as Thursday, trying to figure it out. And that resulted in item 47 being held in abeyance by staff, trying to figure out how the tavern and the non-restricted gaming would function. And at our next meeting, we'll definitely be addressing that in our staff report.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval on item 46. Follow staff's recommendation for approval, all recommendation and condition.
Please vote.
Clerk, if you could just give me 1 second, I need to withdraw my vote. Okay, good.
Please post. Motion to approve item number 46 carries, noting the abstention of Commissioner Slotman.
Move to follow staff's recommendation on item 47, SUP. 48, SDR 50826. Move for approval, subject to all staff's recommendation and condition.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 48 carries, noting the abstention of Commissioner Slotman.
Mr. Chairman, items number 46 and 48 go forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just before I forgot, I wanted to remind everyone that of our festival, Life is Beautiful, that's coming downtown in the end of October. This is, since I won't, my last planning commission before then, I figured I'd get a little bit of free press.
Thank you. Item number 49, SUP 50850. The applicant is Sergio Perez. The owner is Shalimar Hotel Enterprises, for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 6,683 square foot tavern limited establishment at 1401 South Las Vegas Boulevard in Ward 3, Councilman Coffin. Staff is recommending approval. Staff report, please.
Mr. Chairman, staff finds that the use is compatible and harmonious with the surrounding uses and is recommending approval. Please note, we have received additional letters of support and protest since publication.
Thank you. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Ignacio Gonzalez. I'm at 2516 Oceanfront Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89128. And I'm representing the project. Mr. Perez is the owner of the establishment of Florida Cafe, so he's here to answer any questions that you may have, which I can't.
Okay, and Mr. Perez, if you'll just give us your name and address, please.
My name is Sergio Perez, and the address is 1401 Las Vegas Boulevard, 89104.
Thank you, sir. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Saying none, I will close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commission. Commissioner Truesdale.
I'm going to abstain on this item as much as I own property within the notice area.
Thank you. Commissioner Slotman?
Yes, Chair. I feel the same way about this one as I did on the last. Staff's recommending approval. It's compatible with what they're wanting, or with the surrounding areas, so there's no other comments on Ready to make a motion?
Please do.
On item number 49, SUP 50850, I would make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for approval and all conditions.
Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 49 carries, noting the abstention of Commissioner Truesdale.
Mr. Chairman, this item goes forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Moving on now to item 50, which is SUP 50866. The applicant owner is CMB FKA BBN LLC for possible action on a request for a special use permit for a proposed 6,390 square foot tavern limited establishment within an existing sexually oriented business nude show at 2580 Highland Drive in Ward 1, Councilwoman Tarkanian. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant proposes to add a tavern limited at this site, offering a cabaret style of entertainment, music, comedy, song, dance, or drama. The applicant indicated in their justification letter that they would be offering this entertainment weekly or monthly. The applicant also indicated in the justification letter that the sexual-oriented business use would be conducted on a 24-hour basis. Per Title 6.50.250, entertainment must be offered a minimum of 2 nights per week, and the sexually oriented business use in Title 6.35.030, which includes erotic dance establishment, are only permitted alcohol sales as part of a tavern use and not a tavern limited use, as described in Title 6.50.240 and 6.35.030. The site is restricted by Title 19 from having a liquor establishment tavern use, as it cannot meet distance separation requirements from a similar use. Staff finds that the proposed land use of a tavern limited cannot be conducted in a manner that is harmonious and compatible with the existing surrounding land uses, as it does not meet the minimum standards for such a use, and the applicant proposes to continue to operate a sexually oriented business which would no longer be in compliance with Title 6.86 for the service of alcohol. Staff recommends a denial of the application. Please note we have received additional protests since publication.
Thank you. May I hear from the applicant, please?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Chris Kempfer here on behalf of the applicant. With me also is Tabitha Fittiman and Jay Brown. In the audience, we have Richard and Ryan Creighton and Chris Shelton, who are owners of the establishment, and they're here should you have any questions that are appropriate for their consideration. Before we get to the comments of staff, I want to just talk, if I might, briefly about what really is in front of you and why we feel that what we're doing makes more than a little bit of common sense. Regardless of what kind of privilege license you have in front of you that you're considering, you have to have a comfort level in order to approve it. You have to be comfortable with the applicant. You have to be comfortable with the request being made. You have to be comfortable that you're not setting a precedent that you don't want set. In this particular case, you are asked to approve a tavern limited license in connection with what would be a cabaret, not the nude show that presently exists out there. So I'd like to break this down into those 3 categories, if we might, and take a look at the applicants. First of all, again, Chris Shelton, Richard Creighton, and Ryan Creighton. They all are longtime Southern Nevadans, with the Creightons having been born and raised here, and Chris moved here when he was 3. They're all raising young families here in Las Vegas. They're all extremely committed to this community. They all have substantial business interests in Southern Nevada, and they all view this particular application as a business investment, an opportunity where they are taking an underperforming asset and turning it into an asset of value and worth. By way of past and present experience, I trust it will give you a comfort level to know that some of the things they have done in Las Vegas and Southern Nevada include the following, and these are just some. The Vantage Lots. They purchased the $100 million Vantage Lots project out of bankruptcy, spent 1 year working with the city planners, getting the project ready for permits and construction. They did sell that particular project to a Seattle developer named John Goodman. Interestingly enough, they actually had an offer of $3 million more on that property from somebody else, but they believed that Mr. Goodman would be the one that would build something that they felt would be more appropriate in the city and something of which they would be more proud. They have the Spanish Villas at Sahara. They purchased that 110,000 square foot office complex located at 3100 West Sahara, again out of foreclosure. They cleaned up the complex. They stabilized the tenancy. They worked with the planners and added a site for a brand new drive-through restaurant pad at the corner. And this would be the only ground-up new construction in the area. Outside of the city, they have other stuff, but particularly the Vaughn Shopping Center in Boulder City, just to show you that interests go all over Southern Nevada. They purchased the retail plaza attached to the Vaughn Shopping Center. They immediately secured the tenants in place with excellent lease rates that would help ensure their survival. They added stone accents, painted the property, and resurfaced the asphalt. The Paseo de Prado office complex. They purchased the 70,000 square foot office complex, again out of foreclosure, and immediately began working with the tenants to secure lease rates that reflected the economy, and would help their businesses survive. They purchased approximately 1,000 C-class apartments in Las Vegas with the goal of improving the structures, units themselves, and management. They hired national management company Pinnacle to work hand in hand with them to give the tenants the best possible lifestyle for the residents. They own several law office buildings downtown that they maintain as lease investments. There is one common element to their acquisitions, and that is they buy property and they bring it up to the highest and best level of its potential. And that is what they are seeking to do here. So now you know you have applicants of substance who are extremely successful business people who view what they are doing from a strictly business standpoint, which is, again, to take an underperforming asset and turn it into something of value. Now, the next step is probably, in my mind, the most important step that justifies what and why we're standing here in front of you tonight. This particular use presently operates as on the site of Sherry's, at Sherry's nude show, and that is what it is very descriptively called, a nude show. It offers totally nude performances by young women to persons over the age of 18, not 21, but over the age of 18. And most importantly, for your consideration tonight, that use is not going away, cannot go away. A denial tonight does not make it go away. The only way it goes away is to have someone like the client, our clients here, the applicants, change that existing use, and that is where our clients come into play here. Just as they have done with the myriad of businesses that they have all over Southern Nevada, they want to change the entire nature of the structure itself and the operation. They will put approximately $1.5 million into this building, and instead of having nude performance performing candidly to teenagers 18 years and over, they want to have a real cabaret for 21 years and older. They want, in their own words, and this is their quote to me, to create a safe atmosphere that separates itself from the standard adult use facility and brings stricter rules, better entertainment, beyond just live dancers, including live DJs nightly, comedic acts, and themed events. They want to make this a real cabaret. Now, candidly, in order to do what they want, they have to have alcohol sales. Whether we like it or not, whether we engage in that same activity, the reality is most of the people that go to these cabaret shows, or a lot of events, require that there be some alcohol sales available. And that is what they're asking that we do tonight. So what we are asking that you do is take an existing business in an old building that provides for totally nude performances to anyone 18 years and older and change that. What we're asking that by your approval tonight, you help us change that existing use to something that truly is more compatible, I believe, with Las Vegas and with this area. So, in fact, we have a rendering of the building as planned. We can back it up.
Oh, yeah. Back it up.
And I don't know if you've seen the building now, but it's in need of substantial repair. Now, with regard to staff's comments, and Tabitha's here to address anything that I might miss, the reality is the limited tavern was available to allow any kind of entertainment use. Now, staff believed that it was not intended for the adult use as suggested here. However, we secured permission for this application to go forward, to be heard by this commission and by the city council to determine if in fact it is appropriate for approval. Now, the third issue was the precedent issue that we're talking about. The city council has subsequently determined through ordinance that going forward, the limited tavern would not be available to an adult use being defined as something in the entertainment vein. So, and I guess obviously Mr. Fagg or staff could otherwise add to that or correct me if I've said anything that's in any way inaccurate. I certainly don't mean to do so. But we're here today because we have been authorized to move forward with this application and respectfully ask for your approval. I just want to conclude with one comment. After 42 years of marriage, there's a lot of things in my life that I do by asking my wife and saying, what do you think about something? And so I asked her particularly, I said, what if you had your choice of something that was totally, she couldn't believe I asked her the question, but if something that's totally nude, without alcohol, 18 and older, or 21, some alcohol sales, obviously alcohol sales, and topless only as part of this whole cabaret theme, what would you think is something you'd prefer? Well, I don't have to tell you, I mean, she felt very strongly that the totally nude is not where we want to go. In fact, if you recall, a long time ago, the only reason that these people are now allowed totally nude, and the only way to try to get to them was to say, if you are going to do totally nude, we can withhold your right to sell liquor. So there were some establishments that said, for one reason or other, one, they might not be able to get a liquor license, but secondly felt, no, I want the totally nude element to our operation. So we are respectfully asking that you allow these people who have significant business acumen, who have significant ties to this community, who are not the kind of people that you want except in this, I mean, this kind of business. These are people exactly that you want in this kind of business, that we're asking that you give them the opportunity to put this substantial investment into it and to create something that's appreciably better than what is there now. Thank you. I don't know if Ms. Fittiman has any additional comments.
Mr. Chairman, just real briefly, if I may, everything Mr. Kempfer said was accurate, and he said it well. However, I just want to make it clear that the existing operation is ceased. So the license is active, and they have until January to reopen it, and that's what they intend to do should they not secure the approval today. But I just want to make sure that that's clear, that right today, it's not operating, but they have maintained the license, and in the event they aren't able to move forward with this application, they will continue to operate it as is.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter?
Yes, thank you. Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. I'm pushing 70, never married, and I'm all for these new places. I got a complaint with the city. They said that it was too close to an existing establishment. And my thoughts are that these places ought to be all together. Put them in together and keep them out of the residential neighborhoods. This place is on South Highland. There's no people living out there, and it's a perfect place for it. The second thing is, I mean, if they have a business demand for this, let them go at it. I don't put any moral things on this, and the city needs the revenue for the fees. The location is right. The thing that I don't want to see is some shysters coming in, and we have the problem like we had at that Crazy Horse too. That's the thing. So as far as I'm concerned, the main thing to look at is who's running the place. And I don't make no judgments on that. It's just that you need to look at that well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? If you'll state your name and address, please.
Nick Foscaris, 2780 El Camino Road, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here in opposition, mainly because of the distance requirements. I'm a key employee of Treasures Gentlemen's Club. We're close by. We also were looking for an expansion recently, and when we did, one of the issues was the distance requirements between us and the Artisan. We're a little over 1,500 feet away. They're probably 200 feet away. We had to adjust our complete plans in order to conform to the requirements. The rule, as far as I know, has never been changed. I've never heard of anything like this before. I don't know why there should be an exception now. And if there's an exception for them, where do you stop? So that's my concerns. I just want to make them heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sir, your name and address, please.
Elson Lee, 11843 Waterford Castle Court, Las Vegas. I also represent Treasures, and we've went through some remodeling plans in the last couple of years, and we made a lot of adjustments just to make sure that we comply with the 1,500 distance separation, so we don't see why there should be any exception. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion, open this up for discussion amongst the commission. I see Commissioner Quinn's ready.
Yeah, I'm going to kick it off, and then I'd like to hear from my fellow commissioners, and then I'd like to make the motion on this item, because I've put a lot of thought into this. I've lived in Las Vegas a long time, and I understand what Sherry's All Nude is about. And since Sherry's has closed down, we have seen a terrific increase in sex trafficking of our youth in Las Vegas, and where they land are places like Sherry's when they're opened. And I don't believe that this use belongs in any other ward but Ward 1. It belongs in either Highland or it belongs on Industrial Road. It does not belong in Ward 5. It does not belong in Ward 6. It does not belong in Ward 4. It simply belongs in Ward 1. The interesting thing about this use is that, you know, no one really wants to hit that yes button and say it's the right place, it's the right use, it's the right thing, but I do. And I do because, in my opinion, when you make something over 21 and you make something that's regulated with a liquor license and it becomes a privilege to you people, it's a privilege. That way the city can monitor it. That way we can put a administrative review on it. And to go backwards and have it be a Sherry's, to me, is disgusting. Because when you think of an 18-year-old person, that kid could be in high school, that kid, you know, there's, to me, there's still kids. They might be adults, you know, by the law, they might be able to go vote, but the bottom line is, to me, they're still children. And regarding the distance separation to Treasures, you know, it's no different than, you know, you have the Commonwealth and 10 bars next door to it on Fremont Street. So who's, I can't agree with the distance separation. I'm sorry. So my point is, I've given this a lot of thought. I've given it a lot of consideration. I've sat in the parking lot. I did meet with Tabitha. I did meet with Mr. Brown. I did meet with Mr. Kempfer. This is not a vote about who's representing it to me. It's about that it's the right use for that location, because the wrong use is the over 18 all nude. That's my point. Thank you.
Chairman, through you.
Please, go ahead, Commissioner Slotman.
You know, I see this as there's two particular types of license, a tavern license and tavern limited license. And the tavern limited is fairly new. I can't tell you how long it's been around, but a lot shorter amount of time than a full tavern license. One of the things that the tavern limited license does is it reduces that distance separation from one tavern to the next. And I think here recently, within the past 6 months, we approved some sort of new text amendment to allow tavern limiteds all throughout the downtown Centennial Plan. So this is one of the reasons why we didn't see this in our staff reports, or that a sexually oriented business or whatever is stated that it had to have a tavern and not a tavern limited, which they're trying to seek. The biggest difference that I see between them, tavern limited doesn't allow gaming and the tavern does. The second difference would be the difference between a distance separation and no distance separation. And when we look at distance separations for taverns, we're looking at not saturating neighborhoods, and we're looking at not oversaturating different residential areas or commercial areas or whatever it so be. However, we're looking at the industrial district, and right along Highland, I would agree with Commissioner Quinn. There's sexually oriented businesses all up and down Highland. There's the Artisan, there's the Hard Hat Lounge, and I don't think this takes away from any residential aspect, because it's non-existent. So let the free markets and let the capital handle all the problems. I think it's appropriate, and you'll see my support.
Commissioner Modi.
Thank you. Through the chair, I have two questions, one for the applicant and one for staff. For the applicant, as I read through the staff report, I noticed that one of the problems was that entertainment was not offered 2 nights a week. Can you explain that to me?
Mr. Chair, through you, Commissioner, they intend to offer entertainment every single night of the week, the dancing and live DJ. It was unclear in my staff report, and my justification letter, and I apologize for that. The type of entertainment that I was referring to that they would offer on a weekly or monthly basis is the added entertainment, like comedians, stage shows, things like that. So just added entertainment, which is not necessarily consistent with what you see in traditional gentlemen's clubs. So there will be entertainment every single day, and then there'll be the added element weekly and monthly.
Okay, thank you. And my next question for staff is this. If I vote for approval of this tonight, does it stop a future owner from coming in and reverting back to the existing use that is currently there?
I don't know. I haven't done the analysis on that. It might. it might not. As far as the existing use, it is, Title 19 doesn't differentiate between totally nude and topless. That is done through the business license code, through Title 6. Title 19 only has various adult entertainment uses. One of those is a nude show. In it, you may be topless, you may be totally nude. That is the type of sexual-oriented business it is. It doesn't differentiate between the two. Title 6 does. So possibly it could. I'm not sure how the licensing code would affect it. I might want to defer to the director. I think he might have a comment.
And Mr. Chairman, if I might, the ownership has agreed, Commissioner, that they would agree to put a deed restriction or whatever city attorney could come up with, that it would take what is there now and eliminate it and put in its place what I've represented for you tonight.
I don't think we have the power to force a deed restriction as a condition, number one. And I've got a question that probably will tie in with all this. I'm looking in the background paperwork and specifically the issues that have been identified by staff. And the one issue says sexually oriented business uses in Title 6.35.030 include erotic dancer establishments, which are only permitted alcohol sales as part of a tavern use as described in Title 6.5.240. So the question for me is, they're asking for a limited tavern use. Are they going to be allowed to have that type of, are they going to be able to have an erotic dancer establishment with a tavern limited as opposed to tavern?
The answer to that question is no. Although you may be able to approve the land use, ultimately we cannot issue the license for what the applicant is requesting.
However, if the applicant was coming forward and asking for tavern use, and let's forget the distance requirements right now. If they were asking for tavern use, then most likely they would qualify for erotic dancer establishments under a tavern use to sell alcohol.
That is correct. Per Title 6, that is the business license that is associated with that use.
And so reality, what we're really dealing with here is we want to get a tavern in here, but we've got distance issues. True?
That is correct, and as one of the members of the public stated, they had had that issue in the past.
Mr. Chairman, we've been kind of, if I may, we've been kind of going back and forth about these definitions with your staff and with licensing and with Brad Jerbick, one of your city attorneys. And there has been some confusion as to whether or not the tavern language excluded, or whether or not you had to have a tavern license with adult entertainment. And the language, it's my understanding before the last couple, maybe it was the last month or two, was unclear. There was no specific prohibition in the ordinance. And so that loophole has since been closed. The ordinance has been changed. There was a recent amendment that was done. And so there was no question, I think, now. But as of the date of filing of this application, it was unclear. And I mean, we've been sort of going back and forth, and I don't want to get into an argument about it, but it's our understanding still that if this application were to go forward, it would be to do just exactly as we've indicated. We would allow us to sell alcohol with a topless type entertainment as opposed to completely nude.
See, I have to agree with Commissioner Quinn. This is the right area for this. My conundrum right now is, we're just trying to end around. I just assume this come in as a tavern use, and we figure out some way to make that work as opposed to coming in under this limited tavern, but I'm not sure we can do that given the restrictions of the ordinance. So I'll just listen to what the other commissioners have to say on this.
Mr. Chair, I guess I'm not quite finished. I know we went on to another question. No, that's fine. Mr. Kempfer, through the chair, I guess I'll ask this of you. In your presentation, you made some compelling reasons about changing the existing use from the full nude show for 18 and up to topless for 21 and above. Other than the deed restriction, which we can't put on this, how can I feel confident that a future owner won't revert back to this?
Well, let me address the deed restriction. It's always been on my understanding that you cannot impose it, but I could volunteer it, and I've done that in other
But
situation.
who would be the second party? The city wouldn't be a party to that because we couldn't enforce it, so. We've been telling our council that we would not do deed restrictions because they don't really work, so.
Well, if, we can do one of two things. We can, you want to hold it for a couple of weeks and let's get some of these answers for you? I mean, if that, we could do that. I mean, time's not that critical to make sure. And again, Mr. Chairman, if I might address to Director Fagg that we did in fact have a meeting with Planning and Business License and Brad Jerbeck at that meeting, and I was there, as was Tabitha and Mr. Brown, and the comment was made that the Tavern Limited did not exclude the adult use, and that was not their intent to allow it. And so consequently, they were going to go back and make sure that they stop that, they close that loophole. But since our application had already been filed, our application would be allowed to go through the system. That was my understanding, Mr. Fagan.
And I apologize, I did not have the same understanding after our meeting.
Okay.
It's been very clear that in the past, the city of Las Vegas has only allowed erotic dance with a tavern license. I don't see any direction from city council to change that. So hence our recommendation of denial and consequently our recommendation to the Planning Commission this evening.
And Mr. Chairman, if I might make one final comment.
Beg your pardon?
If I might please, just make, if this is the right thing to do, we got to find a way to do it. I mean, if we can eliminate this use and substitute it for a use that only 21 and above, topless, just like other cabarets, we've got to find a way to do it. And shame on us if the consequence is saying there's nothing we can do, so you have to operate continually as a totally nude place and let 18-year-olds in. That doesn't seem to make any sense.
I would probably recommend that if the applicants are agreeable to holding it, let's hold it for 30 days. Brad will be here the next meeting. He was in the meeting that occurred between the applicant and planning. So why don't we have him kind of explain exactly what his rationale was for that?
Certainly. Before we vote on any type of an abeyance, I think Commissioner Bonar, you had some comments.
Well, my comments are going to sound like vanilla pudding compared to some of this. My question is safety. Safety. There are dancers who need protection inside and outside. There are patrons, women that come in groups of women that need safety inside and outside. I'm wondering about parking lot lighting. I'm talking about security personnel to accompany these people back and forth from their car and back from the establishment to their car. Lighting standards, could they be, because there's no residents around, can they be extra lighting? I don't care how many lumens or blitz there are, but can we get some kind of lighting plan that's actually going to say to a patron, you're going to be safe there if you come there as reasonably safe as you can be. Internal security. I don't know if you're going above and beyond norm for internal security, but are there cameras for that purpose? Yes. And how do you share that with the authorities? And an overall statement is that I wonder if you have a mission statement. I mean, is there something we can compare how you operate with what you said you're going to operate? So a lot of business, start everything with a mission statement. Is that part of the business plan of these operators and in this location?
Well, those are very good questions.
No, they're pablum. I know they are.
And I know I've said this before just a little while ago. I think this is the right area for this. I think it's the right street, right location. The issue really right now is, if we pass you forward, are you going to be blocked from doing this anyway by business licensing? And so I don't know, there's got to be some solution where you can call this a tavern is really what you want to do and figure out some way to get a variance for it. I don't know right now because I don't have enough information in front of me. We also got to be a little bit fair to the treasurer's crowd because they did make their adjustments as well. But right now, we're going to go ahead and obey this, but I think we got to kind of figure out some kind of solution where you can call this a tavern and call it what it is. And because it is the right area for it, I believe sincerely. So I believe, anybody want to make a motion on the abeyance?
I'd like to make the motion.
Before you do, I think Commissioner Bonner's got one
Okay.
more comment.
Yeah, just for general consumption, I think the big difference between Tavern and Tavern Limited is whether you have gaming with it, right?
Right.
I mean, gaming, if that's the issue, we can work one way or the other. Thank you.
Just two short comments, because I know if we're going to hold this, we'll bring it back. But when you look at the use as it is today, it's an 18 to 21 nude club, which means without drinking, that most of those 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and 21-year-olds are drinking before they get here. So the reality is, if we approve this appropriately, then it's a business that has its regulations in place, not where everything happens coming and going from it with no responsibility and no controls. I agree, this is the right place for this. And this business has been there for 20 years or longer. And I know that the Treasures people, when they came here, we did have to deal with their building a little bit, but at the end of the day, we got their building approved so they can do their expansion, and it was done as expediently as we could do it with what was presented to us. So I don't think we're changing the rules here. I think the Tavern Limited, if it can get there, at least gives us the controls. We get rid of a totally nude business, and we wind up with a cabaret. At the end of the day, that I'm kind of like your wife in this regard. I think one's a better solution than the other. So, but we'll deal with that when it comes back.
Do we need,
Certainly.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, do we need the 30 days? Will 2 weeks work?
That we only meet once a month.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
They don't want to pay us that $80 that often.
It would be November 12th.
I was remembering the good old days, I guess.
Mr. Jervik will be here then, since he was involved with those meetings. I think he can
Okay.
better explain it than I can.
So with that, I think we had a good verbiage anyway, and I think that we'll make a motion then to hold item number 50, SUP 50866, to the November Planning Commission, and then that way you guys can work out the kinks, and Mr. Jervik will be present at that time. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate the time, the consideration, and the thoughts.
Okay, we haven't had our motion yet, so.
Motion is to hold SUP 50866.
Please vote. Please post. Motion to hold this matter to the November 12, 2013 Planning Commission meeting is approved.
Thank you very much.
What?
Thank you.
Must be.
Moving on to item number 51, which is SUP 50917. The applicant is D.R. Horton, Inc. The owner is D.R. Horton, Inc. et al. For possible action on a request for a special use permit for a private street adjacent to the southeast corner of Deer Springs Way and Campbell Road in Ward 6, Councilman Ross. Staff is recommending denial. Staff, may we have the report, please?
Mr. Chairman, the initial site plan, SDR 48852, has undergone 3 revisions since you saw it here at Planning Commission, with the requested lot count being reduced from 211 lots to 210 lots, and minor rearrangements to the locations of certain drives in relation to street corners. That item is still being held at Planning Commission and has not moved forward. I mean, at City Council, and has not moved forward at this time. This special use permit request will not address the design deficiency found within the site plan review, and staff recommends denial of this request in addition to our continual denial of this site plan review. Please note, we have received additional letters of support and protest since publication.
Thank you. Can we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening, Jennifer Lazovich, 8345 West Sunset Road, here tonight, last but not least, I'm actually standing in for Bob Gronauer on this item, and as I understand it, as staff pointed out, you did see the site plan at one point, and that has made its way up to City Council. It is there, or scheduled to go forward, excuse me, I believe, at the second meeting in November. As I further understand both this item as well as reading the staff report, partially a reason for the hold at City Council was to get this special use permit application in the system, which would allow for private streets. The intent when it all comes together is to make this a gated community, and you have to ask for a special use permit in order to even propose that type of a development. So that is why you just see before you tonight a use permit for private streets. The intent is to gate it. Again, that site plan was already before you, but is now sitting up at City Council. And for what it's worth, earlier tonight, I did hold items 15 and 16. That is related to this item. It includes a tentative map as well as a waiver. Again, partially because we needed to all come together and then to work out the details on the remaining issues. So I'm sorry for the piecemeal of this project, but we're trying to get it to all come together. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do any members of the public wish to be heard on this matter? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment portion, open it up for discussion amongst the commissioners. Commissioner Quinn or Commissioner Moody?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have met with Mr. Gronauer on this, and I think we've worked through these issues. This really is just allowing for a private street when otherwise under town center design would not be allowed. And you're going to have my vote in favor of this tonight.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion is to approve item 51 for the special use permit.
Please vote. Motion to approve item number 51 carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this item goes forward to the November 20th City Council meeting.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good night.
We're going to the Director's Business portion of the agenda, item number 52, which is DIR 50779, Director's Business, Public Hearing, Applicant Owner, City of Las Vegas, for possible action to approve the 2014 Planning Commission meeting schedule. Staff is recommending approval. Staff may have a report.
This item is in order. It's based on the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar, that's the calendar we use. Yes, named after Pope Gregory this, I forget which number.
Okay.
So I'm in trouble now. My aunt is already yelling at me.
Any public comment on this? Seeing none, open up for discussion amongst the commission. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Sloman?
Yes, on item number 52, DIR 50779, I would make a motion to follow staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. Please vote. Please post. Motion to approve item number 52 carries.
And Mr. Chairman, that is final action.
Go to the last portion of the agenda, citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. No subject may be acted upon by the Planning Commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Sir, state your name for the record, please.
Thank you, Todd Farlow, 240 North 19th Street. Commissioner Truesdale, Commissioner Goines, and Commissioner Quinn, your husband, Steve. I thought we had nailed this can of worms on the signs shut long ago, but here we go again. But my problem is this. If you drive down Rancho Boulevard and the Texas station, if they have their great sign out there and it's all white, it has a flash blinding where you can't see for several seconds after that. And if you remember where the old Treasure Island Casino, they had a sign out there that would flash too, and you were around in that corner, and that was dangerous. And boy, I do not want to see that going again. And I thought that the staff had come up with a plan to address that issue, and now they're talking about stuff that I do not know about these, luxes and that. But they need to have an example of how bright some of those signs are. And if there was just some local monument that they could refer to, it'd sure be appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to make a comment?
Yes, Mr. Chair. A question or comment for Public Works. I think Public Works directs where the parking stalls get painted in downtown. Is that correct? No.
The on-street parking stalls, and yes.
When you're laying out parking stalls, if y'all could make sure that they're not within 15 feet of a fire hydrant, because when I pay money to park in it and then get a $250 ticket, and before I can call, it went up to $500. So, no, but a $500 fine. So if we could watch where we're marking out paid parking stalls, that would be great.
We've got almost every square foot of roadway downtown painted with little boxes. We should have covered them somewhere.
I'll give you my card after the meeting.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, for $1,000, I'll represent you on that.
I think I'm willing to pay it.
Any other comments? This meeting is adjourned.